blessed as a congregation and young people that are so talented, and it's exciting to see where that talent will end up someday.
And that's exactly how I feel when we play the piano.
I'm thankful for that. It's quite a blessing, isn't it? Your love is a mystery. How you carry me when I am surrounded. Your love is me. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your makes me sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah.
I'm glad to have Alyssa and her family here this morning. And when Eric was introducing her this morning in Sunday school, saying that she was going to be coming to share, and kids are going to just stay up in the upstairs today. But whenever he was introducing you this morning, he said Alyssa Cooper Sande. And one of the kids thought they heard Santa and thought that Santa was coming to speak. And so they're all hyped up for this. So no shoes to fill or anything, but the kids think they're getting Santa. So just want to welcome her at this time.
Well, you know what? I'm bringing someone way better than Santa. How many of you know that? Yes. I'm so thankful for Jesus today. I really am. He's everything to me and everything to all the children that we help and all the people that we help. And actually, I want us to go back to that. Can we go back to the first chorus we sang? Those words were just so amazing to me, and they help with our ministry. They describe what's happening in our children and people. It says, praise is rising, and eyes are turning to you, we turn to you. Hope is stirring, hearts are yearning for you. Because when we see, we find strength to face the day. In your presence, all our fears are washed away. And when we were singing that, I was just like, God, this is so neat, because this is what we are seeing in Uganda. Like, people's fears are being washed away because they're finding Jesus. They are finding strength to face the day. Children that have not food, that don't have clothes, that aren't able to go to school, because Jesus has intervened in their lives. Now they have hope. And in the chorus, if we can go to the next verse. It says, hear the sound of hearts returning to you, we turn to you. In your kingdom, broken lives are made new. You make us new. And it's so exciting to see that happening in people's lives, and especially you're going to see in one of our slideshows with the children, that their lives truly are being made new. And like when you look at the desperation, where you first found them sitting in the dirt, hopelessness, despair, and then their complete, even their physical lives have changed, and you put them in, and you don't just see hope and a smile, but you see hope in their eyes. And that's one of the beautiful things, is just to see that happen. But it only happens because of Jesus, and it only happens because he was willing to come to this earth and give everything. And so we are so thankful to be a part of that mission. And I want to tell you that if you don't know it, you are part of Jesus' mission to bring hope and love to this world, wherever you are. Like, that's one of the reasons why I believe he put us here. You weren't just born to live and enjoy your life and just, get whatever you have on this earth. But you were here because there were people who needed to have their eyes turned to Jesus. And maybe you're the only way that they're going to see that happen. And so I have found, as a result of us being there and doing what we're doing, that people are turning their eyes to look at something because they know that this couldn't happen if it weren't for him. And as I talk about the updates and all of those things, you're going to see that, wow, this is a lot that has happened in just 4 years. But it's not because of us. It's all because of him. May you direct your eyes up to heaven and you say, thank you, God, for what you are doing. But there's a reason why he's doing it. He's doing it because he wants eyes to turn to him. To know that you will have hope, you will have joy, you will have life, because I came to the world to die for you and give everything. So, just my introduction, but let me first let my husband talk. I think some of you already saw him. I don't think after you see him, you can't forget him. He feels a little out of place here in the U.S. Most of the places we go, he definitely sticks out, but we are thankful for him. He is such a blessing, and to everything that we do in Uganda. It wasn't my intention to marry an African man, I'll tell you that, but I'm thankful that I did, and it has really helped me with the culture. So.
All right, thank you. Yeah, some people who are orators, they don't stop talking. They should stop. I'm grateful for this morning to be here. The name is Sande, but most people say Sandy. It is Sande, as in S-A-N-D-E. So maybe I'm the Black Santa this morning. So the kids could be right. But anyway, she has more to tell you what we do. I'm only standing here to say thank you. Most of the people that sponsor the kids and sponsor other things in the ministry. We just want to say, we come back here once a week to raise money, but even to tell people thank you for whatever you're doing, because I'm sure our lives are changing down there. And these are not just stories that we are just speaking to convince people that help us, but they are true stories. And we have many people that come down there and see everything. And I've always told Alyssa that I wish other people can also come down and tell people what they see, so that it doesn't come from only us. Because at times people may say, anyway, they have to say, they are saying what they have to say anyway. But when you hear it from another person's mouth, then it sounds true. So we're grateful for the God giving you to us, to work with us, and transform lives. I believe that's one of the biggest callings of every person in life, is to at least change someone's life to a better situation. And this country has been a role model in the world in giving a chance to people to be better. You know, it's not the first time. When I studied the history here, it has been generations. People try to give opportunities to other people to be better. And now, when we have some of you coming down there like Alyssa, I think it's time we expand that opportunity giving to also the African continent. Many opportunities have been given there, but at times they're misused, but we can't stop because something has to be done. Others, thank you so much for everything that you do for us. You're changing lives in many ways. She's going to be telling more, and may the Lord bless you.
This ministry is not about building buildings. It is about building hope, rebuilding lives, diminishing fear and despair, changing futures, empowering others to reach glorious destinies. It is nothing we do that brings results, but everything that God does in people's hearts and lives, including our own. He has exceeded every expectation we have made. We have seen him abundantly provide as we have surrendered ourselves fully to him. We have watched miracles unfold. We have not yet witnessed blind eyes see, but we have seen tears cease, joy unveiled, hearts soften, behaviors change, dreams unfold, and lives transform. There is no greater joy than to see God move in lives and hearts in ways that you could never imagine. And we are so thankful to be here today. We're so thankful to share what God is doing in Uganda. I also just want to add my thanks to all of you, and I want to tell you that you are just as much a part of this as we are. You are just as important. You are just as vital, because the truth is that no matter what God had given to my husband and I, we could not fulfill it without you. And so we just want to tell you that we thank you for everything you have done. I want to tell you that for me personally, so many times as I walk and I look at the buildings and I look at the children and I think about where we have come from, I picture your faces, and I'm so thankful to have this opportunity to come back and say thank you. It really is from our hearts. We really are saying thank you. And we want you, as you think and you hear all the things that we are sharing, we want you to also rejoice that you are a part of this mission, that you are a part of what God is doing in Uganda. If you look up here, this is my family. Most of you have probably seen them by now. I have 2 children, Caleb and Vinaya, but then I also have other children that are in Uganda, and that's the next slide. We actually have brought in 3 more orphans. The last time I was here, I think we had 2, but now in the last 2 years we have 3 more that have come. They're all between the ages of 14 and 16, but it has been an amazing experience for me to really understand more about what children go through in Uganda. It was interesting. Most of them, actually, except for one, all of them have lost both of their parents. The one who has a father alive is completely uninvolved in her life. And but it's been, as they kept coming, every time another one came, the other ones would again go through so much pain, remembering everything that they had been through as they hear the other children share their experiences. The one girl, she was literally put into a bedroom, and the aunt had told her, "I'm going to burn you in your bedroom." She had put gasoline out in front of the door and locked her in there. And then she eventually kicked her out of the house. Another boy was just a street child who was picking up things and selling them to try to go to school, had a great desire to go to school. He was taken in by someone to do child labor for them, and so they refused him to go to school. Even if he went to school, they would not let him eat. and they were also abusing him. And so when I found out that story, I was like, we have to bring him in. But it's interesting how God does things to us, because the truth is I never wanted teenagers. That's why I was an elementary teacher, because I love small children. And I thought, God, now you have given me a whole house full of teenagers. What do I do? But it has been a learning experience for me, and more of just praying, God, how do I love these children? Because I don't have it in me to do it. And the truth is that none of us have it in us to do what God wants us to do without him. But because he fills us with himself, we have all the love and all the grace and all the strength and all the peace and all the joy and all the hope that these people need, because we have Jesus inside of us. And so it has been an adventure, but we are thankful for all of those children. Then you're going to see in the next slide, this is our Palace of Treasures. This is our orphanage. God had given me the theme of treasures, because I really wanted the children to always know and remember that they were treasured, that they were valued, that there was something special that God had for them. Many of the times, these children are told you are not valuable, you are not as significant, you're just an orphan, nothing is going to happen to you good. And so these children a lot of times just have lost any type of self-esteem or anything, but God is able to tell them, you are a treasure, you are valuable. And so that is why our orphanage is called Palace of Treasures. So that's a closer view of it. We have 42 children now in here. We started with 6 children. These are our first 6. These children were all in desperate situations, and so we ended up taking them, and they were our first 6 children, except for, of course, my daughter, who was just there when they came. And then these are, you can see more of the children now. One of the beautiful things that I've seen as a result of the children coming is that now they're just free to be children. They can laugh, they can play. When they first came to us, some of them would just sit in the corner. They wouldn't talk, they wouldn't interact with the other children, but now they're very playful, they're very well-mannered. Actually, even when they go back, because they visit some of their grandparents. Some of them were either cared for maybe by a grandmother or an aunt or an uncle. And when we send them back, because you want to keep the connection with their families are so grateful. They say, I can't believe how my children have changed. Like now, they care about bathing, they want to brush their teeth, they're even telling me to do those things, and their behavior is so much better. And so we definitely see that these children are not only just changing themselves, but they're going back and even helping in their families. This is the inside. This is their eating area and kind of like their dining area where they sit and play sometimes. Then this is the back hallway. When the children come here, they really feel like they're living in a palace. From some of their homes. I'm sure in the past you've probably seen some of their homes. We have mosquito nets, of course, for the beds, because if we don't, then they can get malaria. And then this is the outside kitchen, where we do all of our cooking. It's much easier when you're cooking for a large group of children, and even for the fact that you're hiring the local people to care for them. They prefer the local way of cooking, and so they just use the firewood, and then they cook in those big saucepans. And actually, the children themselves are very involved in the cooking. They do a lot of the chores. So here they're cutting some of the food. They have to slice it. It's actually their potatoes, and their sweet potatoes especially, have a very hard outer covering. So the children are responsible to peel a lot of those foods, and they actually enjoy being in the kitchen. And then they wash their clothes. If you're a child here, as soon as you can walk and get to be strong, you start washing your clothes, because of course they don't have washings there. So the children always wash their clothes and even iron. They're using a charcoal iron here to iron their clothes. I personally iron with those. They're very difficult. I can burn my clothes easily because it's hard to regulate the temperature. This is our poultry project. We have chickens that we raise, and they supply eggs so that the children can have protein. The children have their own garden, so they actually help with the gardening and growing food. And then this is our water project. If you haven't heard about our water project, we have our own dug well. And this was actually a miracle. When they first came to view our land, they had went around all of our property, about 60 to 70 acres, and they said, you have no available water source on your land. And so we were, of course, like, oh, God, we just can't have no water source out of all this. You know, all the projects that are supposed to go on this land. And so my husband felt touched to pray over a specific spot, and he prayed over that spot, and then he called the water people back. And the water people were just amazed. When they dug, they found an abundant supply of water. And it actually was enough water to supply the whole district. And when they did the water test, it was clean and pure water, so we don't have to have any purification. And this water system has been a huge blessing even to my own life, because the town where we live has a huge issue with water. So we can have months where we have no water. And we're always fetching from the children's land. We live about 10 minutes away, so it's been even a blessing to me. These are some of the water systems that some of our families use, and so you can see like it's a much poorer system of water. This is actually definitely a huge need in the country. I would say Uganda and probably many African countries and third world countries. Another system that they do is a borehole water system, which is where you go and just like, I don't know, that's a tap.
So borehole system.
Yeah.
Just pump.
Pump, that's what I was trying to think of, yes, you can pump the water up. So, and then this is what our system looks like. It's actually covered because the well is underground. And then we pump it up, and we have these taps, and then we also have sinks that water can actually come out, especially at our medical center. So we have running water. So that is a huge blessing. So there's a picture of one of our sinks in the medical center. Then our newest project this year was our school called Sparkling Gems. And again, you can see the theme. We have talked to them about we believe that your children are diamonds, and we're going to help them sparkle. And even if we have to dig very deep and do as much as we can to get them to shine, we will do that. We have about 155 children. We start at age 3 and go up to, actually, we can even go up to age 14, because the children's education is so disrupted, because a lot of times they can't pay for school fees, or they can't pay for the school supplies, or they can't pay for a uniform, or they can't pay for the examination. So maybe they stop going to school and then they start going to school again. Another thing that's really sad about the educational system is it's very poor where we, especially in the village. And so many of the teachers in the government schools, they aren't paid well. They're in the profession just because it's their last option. They actually hate teaching. And so we came in to try to say we want to give a school that is a difference, that has quality education, that the children are really learning. And it's a blessing because this was, of course, my passion and my field that God had already trained me in. Because of my master's degree in reading, I was able to actually help the teachers know how to teach reading, because in Uganda, they don't really emphasize having a specific subject where you teach reading. And so I taught them a lot of things and worked with the teachers and actually even taught the children. And another thing that happened was, because of, you can go to the next slide, I think it's just showing more pictures, yeah. Another thing that happened as a result of just being with the teachers and showing them compassion and showing the children compassion, the teachers actually changed and started loving their profession. And they came and even thanked me and said, thank you so much for helping us love what we're doing and for helping us love the children. And right before I came back, we had like an in-service day. And I was sitting around talking to them about classroom management issues, because that's always, if you're a teacher, you know, that's always a big topic, is classroom management. And so they're asking me, because they don't give them any classroom management really, other than if the children do something, you should beat them, you should slap them, kick them, pinch them. So all those things are done, where in this school I said it's going to be different. We are not going to do any corporal punishment. We're going to find other ways of helping the children learn, because there's a lot of fear and intimidation as a result of those tactics. And so the children come to school kind of being afraid of even answering a question, because if they answer it wrongly, they may be beaten by a stick. And so the teachers were kind of like, now, what do we do? And so I was trying to teach them other ways. But at the end, as we were sitting in this in-service day, and they were asking me questions about classroom management, and I was talking to them about the children's stories. We were all in tears, and they were saying, now I can totally understand why it may be harmful to be these children, because of where they're coming from, the emotional scars that they have. That's maybe why they're acting the way that they are. So it's been a wonderful experience and just amazing to see changes in the children also. They're actually reading, they're actually writing. The parents were so thankful. They came. We had a Parents' Day, and they were just rejoicing and thanking us for what we have done. There was a grandmother there. She had 6 orphans that she was caring for, and she couldn't send any of them to school. she wasn't able to pay the school fees and everything. And so she purposely came to me and she brought me a pineapple and a mat, and she said, if the only reason why this school is here is for me, I'm so thankful. Because now my children are learning, and they're actually coming back, and they can even read, and they can write, and I thought that they would never get an education. Another mother was talking about her daughter, and she said, my daughter calls the school a place of peace and freedom, and she's so happy to come here. And then another parent was talking about the name Sparkling Gems, because that name is actually a little bit difficult in Latoro, the local language there, because it's not a direct translation. So when you say it, they can think sparkling germs, sparkling games, and I'm like, no, we're not germs, we're gems. But it's been giving me an opportunity to describe to everyone what that name means. And so I first had to talk to the children and tell them, why are you a sparkling gem? What is a sparkling gem? And I even have them say, we are sparkling gems. And so I'm explaining to the parents what that name is about. And at the end of the Parents' Day, a parent stands up and he says to me, before you had this day, I never knew why the name of the school was that. But he said, now I understand, and I'm so thankful, because that's exactly what it is, and it's sparkling, and our children are changing. This is just the outside kitchen that we have where we cook. And now we're at the medical center, and most of you should recognize this. This was one of our first projects. We're just kind of expanding some of our services. We now have more maternity services, and we are trying to finish a surgery building. We do have a small hospital because of the huge need where sick people are coming and they need to be admitted. So we just turned a kitchen that was built actually into a hospital, and so I think we have like 9 beds. Is it 9 beds there? Where the people, 9 beds. So this is an example of some of those beds. Of course, we also have mosquito nets. And then this is the newest construction project with the medical, and that will be kind of a place where they can do some operations, cesarean sections, and some other things. And then our carpentry project, you can see that, they're making wood. They supply us with everything, our tables, our chairs, our desks, everything that we have in all of our projects is supplied by the local people, and it gives them a job and it helps them support their families. And then our sponsorship program, some of you know about this. We have where we sponsor a child for $35 a month. Currently we're at 147 children. We are adding another 25 children, we're hoping, in the next 3 or 4 months. But this has been an amazing program, and what it has done more than anything is just help these children know that someone loves me. First their sponsor, and then God. Many of them say that as I was sitting out in the bush crying, I know that there was a God who saw me. And now I know that he exists because he sent someone who I never met to come and help me go to school, to help me have medical care. We've had a number of our children that have been in situations where maybe we recruited them when their parents were very sick and almost dying. And now even just in the last 2 years, 6 of our children lost their last surviving parent. And so if you can imagine going to a funeral and seeing an 8-year-old burying her mother, which is the last living parent that she has alive, it's so difficult for me to imagine being that young and knowing that my parents are all gone and that now what is my future. But the beautiful thing about that is that as that is happening, because they have a sponsor, they're able to understand that, you know what, this is not the end of my education. This is not the end of I don't have to worry about suffering for the rest of my life, that there is a solution and an answer. So we also give them dental treatment. If any of you have had toothaches, you understand that that is a really important service, and actually a lot of the children and adults have dental issues. Although people tell me, why do their teeth look so white? They do look white, but the truth is when you look inside of their mouth, you're going to see something different. They have a lot of stains from the sugar cane and tea and things like that. Then we also send them to vocational schools. We do have a commitment with our sponsored children that we want to have them get like a career, either through the university or through a vocation, so that when they leave us, they'll still have a future. They'll be able to do something. And then our church is God's Care Church. This is a place where we have an adult service, a children's service, and a teen service. And my husband is the pastor of this church. We have grown. We're about 250 members. It varies. I know when we say numbers, you're probably wondering why I keep saying like 250, 260, 60 to 70 acres. Things are kind of indefinite in Africa. Like in one service you could have 200, and in another service you could have 250. And for us, we give out school supplies to all the children who come to our church. So a month before school begins, you can be up to 350 because the children know, when is the Sunday coming where we give out school supplies? But I have said that, I don't have a problem with that, because if that's the way they come and hear about Jesus. And actually, I purposely plan what I'm going to say because I know that those children are coming. And I'm like, I want you to not just walk away with a book and a pen and a pencil, but I want you to walk away with Jesus. And this is our children's church. They're actually eating rice. We give them rice every Sunday. Children love rice in Africa. It's a luxury. It's more expensive, and so not everybody gets to buy it except for at Christmas and Easter, and so they absolutely love eating rice. And some of the children, that's a privilege for them to be able to eat lunch. Maybe they only have 1 or 2 meals a day. And this is about a team. Actually, we've had almost 9 teams that have come since we first moved there, mission teams, that they come and take a trip for usually about 2 weeks. And this year it was wonderful because we had them even come and tutor the children. They work with the children. They spend time with them. They help them. Some of them just write numbers, count, letters, and things like that. And they did a Bible school, and then they also helped, you can go to the next slide, with our Children's Day, which is our annual day where we celebrate children. This year we had 600 children, so it was really large. And we had an amazing time with all of the Americans that had come and just came to love the children. So that's a pretty good update of everything. I'm going to show you a picture slide now, and I want you to look very carefully at it, because it's going to show you some of the things that I first saw when I came to Uganda, some of the desperation in the children. And then if you look carefully towards the middle, you're going to start seeing a before and after picture of the child before we came, and then as a result of after, when Jesus had intervened in their lives. And so you'll be able to see a big difference between when they were first came into our program and then after. It's called Music. For some reason, the volume isn't playing.
Little hands, should have seen, lonely eyes looking back
there's so much power to, I believe, in loving the least of these. And it says that as a result of us being Jesus to them, that they will be brave and free. And that is my desire for so many of these children, is that they will find Jesus, and that it will release a freedom and also a compassion in them, that they will keep also loving others. Because one of the things that I found that's really hard for me is that the truth is that in Uganda, not everyone is poor. But it's that even those that are rich don't share, and that they keep their things. They just want to keep accruing. The government itself, if you look at them, if they cared about their people and not about what car they drove, how much money they had, how they looked, there wouldn't be poverty. But it's our desire that we instill in these children a heart of compassion that Jesus had. Because when he was on this earth, he was always looking for the least of these and touching them. And I still pray, and this is always my prayer, that God will continue to lead us to the children that are the most desperate, the ones that are suffering, and they are out there. And we just got these newly recruited children, and I just thought, oh my goodness, we're here again. Like, we found these children that are really suffering. Some of them, their parents have died. They don't have anyone providing for them. Some of them, the parent is sick, and they aren't able to even care for the children. But I'm thankful that God is bringing them to our path so that we can rescue them and help them. I just want to share a few stories about the children. I think it's important for you. And as my husband was sharing, it's not just stories. Actually, these are true lives that have been impacted and changed by the power of Jesus. And we are seeing a difference in them. It says in Micah 6, verse 8, he has shown you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, and to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. God was saying, these three things are all that I expect and require of you. And I think that it's good for us to keep looking at that and remembering that this is really what life is about. This is what matters. That we love mercy, that we act justly, that we fight for those who can't fight for themselves, that we speak for those who have no voice, that we cry for those who are even so weak to cry. This little boy, sorry, can you go back? This little child is one of the first children that I saw when I first visited Uganda, my first trip. And I was just so broken because he was in the dirt and he was so hopeless and in despair. And I said, God, we have to bring hope to his life. And actually, I talked to my mom into sponsoring him and my sister. And so now these children are sponsored. You can see she's even with them. It's hard to see her, but that is my mom. She came to Uganda and visited them, actually. She's visited them a couple of times. But these children have changed tremendously. I mean, when we first came, they were always suffering, full of jiggers, parasites in their fingers, their toes. They were very unruly. They had no one really guiding them in their lives. And so we brought them into the orphanage, and they are now completely different children. They're learning, their behaviors are so good. They're doing wonderful, and they're healthier, and we are so thankful to see the difference that has been made in their lives. Then this little girl, I'm going to tell you about Sarah. She's a girl who is very close to my heart. She was actually taken from a very desperate situation. Her mother was left with 6 children, and she was trying to raise them, so she would have to go and look for food, and she would leave Sarah to take care of the children. The youngest was like 1. And so they were living in an area which was by a bar. It's called a trading center, and there are drunk men all the time around there. And so these girls